Good evening. We are going to be discussing Chapter 17 today, and this would be the content for for week 14. We are almost done with this term. I can hardly believe it. Amazing. Okay, so jumping into Chapter 17. This chapter is all about advertising and public relations. Not all about. I guess more of an introduction to these things. So first of all, advertising is a paid form of non-personal communication delivered via mass media. So in other words, it's not personal selling. It's not publicity. These are ways to communicate with your target audience that you're paying for. Okay, so two major types of advertising are institutional advertising and product advertising. And two major types of product advertising would be pioneer advertising, where you're really trying to drum up demand based on your product and its features and benefits, versus competitive advertising, where you're comparing your product more to another competitor product or group of competitor products in one of several ways. So know the differences between those categories. And so then the chapter will step into how you go about creating an advertising campaign. There are 7 steps, and I've got them listed here. You're going to identify your target audience. You're going to identify your campaign objectives and how you're going to be measuring those. What's your platform? In other words, what are the major points you want to be communicating? Funding, appropriation, it has to do with funding, and how are you going to decide how much money to put to this campaign. There's a number of different ways to base that decision on that the chapter covers. What's your media plan? What methods of communication will you choose? And then what is going to be actually in your advertising message with respect to the copy and the artwork, so the text and the graphics. Then you will execute your campaign, and then you will evaluate the effectiveness of your campaign. So in the end, you are putting a ton of money into advertising. And so you want to try to do what you can to quantify the results of what you've done. Is it worth it to spend all that money? And if you have to make some decisions between doing this sort of advertising and this sort of advertising, which one gives you the biggest bang for the buck? So you can think about evaluating the effectiveness of a campaign based on potentially how aware are people of your product or your message, whatever it is you're trying to communicate, or it could be related to sales. And so whatever it is you're trying to evaluate, you need to have a benchmark to measure against. So you'll be looking at a pre-test and a post-test. What were sales of this product before this new campaign versus what are they after? What are people's recall percentage, or I don't know what the right word is there, but how good are people at recognizing your product or recalling it before the campaign versus after, that kind of thing. Finally, you're going to need to decide who's going to conduct this campaign, who's going to put all of this together. Will you do it in-house? Do you have the expertise? Do you have the manpower? Or will you source this out? Can you afford to do that? What are the costs related to that? Okay. All right. So there's a lot in that. But stepping now into public relations. Public relations has more to do with maintaining favorable relations between your company and your consumer, your markets. And so the tools of the trade there will be any written materials that you're circulating related to your company or your product, corporate identity materials. You may be having speeches, event sponsorships, special events. There's a lot of different things that go into this. The chapter talks about a bunch of them. Press conferences, news releases, feature articles, that sort of thing. So know what the different methods are there, the different aspects or tactics, I guess, related to public relations. And then finally, just like with advertising, you want to be able to keep a finger on the pulse of what people think about you and your company and your products. So you are continually looking at the environment and trying to gauge consumers' feelings and perceptions about things. So you may be doing that with a public relations audit or a communications audit or a social audit if you're concerned with social causes or social responsibility. And then finally, it may happen that you have to deal with bad publicity, unfavorable public relations. How do you do that? What's the best way to go about it? And so the chapter talks about that somewhat, and you probably have some of your own opinions there too. So that will come into the assignment for this week, so I'll be curious to know what you think there. Okay, so stepping into the assignment this week, this is going to do with, this case this week has to do with greenwashing. And so we're going to talk about greenwashing a little bit and how it impacts perception of a company. Should there be, I'm reading the assignment now, but I guess where I'm coming from with this assignment is, you know, there's the aspect that you could be legalizing aspects of greenwashing, or you could let a negative press or negative publicity drive just how companies conduct themselves. And so I'm kind of curious to see your thoughts there. So I guess that's this assignment in a nutshell. Yeah, I guess that does the job there. Okay, so and then with MindTap this week, the graded portion of that will be the Chapter 17 quiz, and there's 6, I think it should be 16 questions. I don't believe it's 16 questions. So I've got a typo there. But you'll have 2 attempts, and you'll be able to get feedback after the due date. Okay, so that's it for this week, and I hope y'all are having a good week. We're buttoning up this term, which is crazy. But let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. Okay, thanks.